On today's episode, we are going to take a look at the only growth stock list you need for 2021. There's no other place you need to go look at except this list right now. So this list is showing the fastest growing companies in United States and Canada, and it's actually free to the public, and that's the greatest thing. But let's take a look at 2019, which they released last year. If we would have followed that list, there would have been some amazing plays. They had 10x Genomics, which has done 141%. They had apps, Digital Turbines, that has done over 556%. They also had Twilio, which has done 250%. So what is this secret list? So this is the part where I normally spend about 45 seconds to a minute explaining why you should like the video, check out my socials and Patreon. But for the next few days, I want to use it to try to make a difference. Right now, there are tons of kids asking Santa for happiness. This year has been pretty rough for many people, and usually kids don't understand why. And if you're watching this video, it probably means you are blessed like me to continue to put money to work in the market. And I just want to say there are easy ways to give back to the community. One method my wife found is USPS Santa Operation, where kids write to Santa and you can read the letter and adopt the child and send them a gift. I'm sure there are other methods out there, but I just want to use this platform for this. Now, I hope you guys don't mind that short off topic. And let's get back to the episode. So the list is actually not that secret at all. It's open to the public. It's free to anybody to come look. And this is a list made by Deloitte. Every year they post the 500 fastest growing companies in the technology market right now. So let's take a quick look at 2019 and see what were some of the companies and what was some of the information they were looking at. And then we're going to take a look at the most recent year, which they just released I think a few weeks ago. And we're going to take a look at some of the companies within that. And I do believe my future content coming in from here, I'm going to start pulling some companies from here and start doing fundamental analysis. These are probably companies that not many people are looking at. So it's going to be a great place. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. So the first thing I want to show is that even though there is 500 companies, not all those companies are public. Some of them are private. In the 2019, about 76% were private companies, 24% were public. You might be like, Jose, 24 are public. What's the point of looking at this list? Well, in a list of 500, if 24% are public, that's over 125 different companies that we could have looked at. Then they're also talking about the type of market growth. Out of those 500 companies, 125 of them had a growth rate of over 1,000% and 3-year growth rates of 166%. This is insane. Now, if we take a look at the industry of 2019, the best industry was software, which made up 68% of these 500 companies. Then we had biotech. Then we had digital content. Biotech had 11%. Digital content had 10%. Medical devices had 4%. Communications had 3%. Electronic devices, hardware had 2%. Semiconductor had 1%. And energy tech had 1%. And then again, if you go further, they start to break down the list even further. If we take a look into software, which was the number one market, out of the 500, 343 were software companies last year. And out of those 343, 48% of them were SaaS and enterprise. We've seen a lot of SaaS companies being very, very profitable in form of gains to investments this year. The next were fintech and digital platform. Fintech and digital platforms and SaaS were over 70% of the total software companies that were growing at crazy levels. So this is impressive. This is telling us what are the markets that are seeing the most growth. Then they give us even one better. They give us the type of growth each market is seeing. So here we can see the 3-year medium percentage growth rate by sector. Again, this is the previous year. We have software was growing 449%. Biotech was growing 402%. Digital content was growing 439. We can see the biggest one was energy tech, growing at 920%. So just by looking at this, just by this list, we can already start to take away what companies, what sectors we shouldn't be focused on. We already now, thanks to this list, knew what 8 sectors were going to be growing in the upcoming years. And we know right now in a year after this, energy tech was booming, software has been booming, Biotechnology has been booming, medical devices have been booming, electrical, so all these were growing. So this is a great place to start and looking at future stocks. And here then they go into the list. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, most of the companies here, over 76%, were private. So only about 120 so of the 500 were public, but that's still insane. And we can see here, they did release this in November of 2019, and the new one we're going to take a look at is November of 2020. And some of the companies in that list were 10x Genomics, which year to date has done, not year to date, in the past year has done 141%. We have Sarepta Therapeutics Inc., which has done about 24%, still great returns. We have Intellia Therapeutics, which has done 218%. Facebook was also on that list last year, and that has done 31%, right? It's not, we can see it's different market size companies that have been doing amazing. Apps Technology, if you would have listened to them there and done some form of background, that would have grown 553% from when it was in actually probably even more. Year to date, I mean, for the past year, 531%. Then we had Snapchat was also on that list. Snapchat would have given you 239%. They had Audio's Eye. Audio's Eye would have given you 281%. They had Pure Storage. I'm guessing maybe not all of them are perfect, but hey, Pure Storage gave you 29%. They also had CarGurus. Unfortunately, CarGurus was a loser, giving you negative 15%. They had Alteryx, and Alteryx would have given you 20%. Still, those are great returns. Like I mentioned, Twilio would have given you 249%. They also had Zscaler in that list, and Zscaler would have given you 285%. So now let's look at the 2020 list. And if you guys want to go and check them out, feel free. I think you can just Google Deloitte. That's DELOITT 500 winners for 2020. And then once you go here, you go to either download the winners list, and this gives you the list only. And today we're actually going to look at the brochure, which kind of gives you a lot of the information. So this is the list. They rank it in order. And in the list, right, they give you the company name, they give you the primary industry, they give you the percentage growth. And like I mentioned, this is mainly companies in United States and Canada. So they're also going to give you the city and state or province and the CEO name, so you can find them. Remember, most of them are actually going to be, are not going to be public, but at least over 100 of them are. We can see Zoom Info is actually in here. This is one that has just recently gone IPO. And let's take a look at some of them. All right, so now this is the brochure from Deloitte for 2020. And this is, again, the 500 fastest growing companies in strong innovation. So first, let's take a look at the top 10. So within the top 10 companies of this list, they're only in two markets we're going to see. They're in the biotech, pharmaceutical, or they are in the software and SaaS. And we saw in the previous list of 2019, those were the two biggest growth market. And we're going to see probably in 2020, those are it. Out of the top 10, there's a few of them that are actually public. Number one is public, and that is Arrowhead Pharmaceutical Inc. This is ticker ARWR, and year to date right now, the stock price has been up 21%. It has been very volatile, but we can see this is one we can add to the list. Then we also have Ultragenyx Pharmaceutical. I believe this is number two, another pharmaceutical. And year to date right now, the stock price has done 268. This is ticker RARE. Rare. Then we have Karyopharm Therapeutics, and we have another biopharmaceutical company. This is ticker KPTI. And this is number 7. So we can see number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6 are not publicly traded right now. KPTI has done negative 20% right now in investments. And we can see these are very small market caps. This is $1.1 billion. We also have Cara Therapeutics. This is ticker Cara, CARA. This comes in at number 9. And Cara year to date has not done that well either. It's pretty much flatline, negative 2%. And then the last company that is public is going to be Akebia Therapeutics. It seems all of the ones that in their top 10 that are public are in the biotech and pharmaceutical world. And now this is actually pushing me to maybe either try to find an ETF that focuses on biotech companies or try to start learning more about them. We can see Akebia, ticker AKBA right now. It is down 51% year to date, so it hasn't done that well. And again, this is a very small market cap. Right now, this list is not meant to be a list to go out and purchase right away, but it is a list that has already done a criteria for us of finding the fastest growing sectors and the fastest growing companies within those sectors where we can now really just focus on them and try to learn as much as we can about them. So this is ticker AKBA, and then it has a market cap of less than $500 million. So what else can we learn from this list? If we take a look by numbers, out of the 500, 73% are private companies. 27% are actually public companies. So let's pull out our magical calculator here and do 500 times 0.27. Out of those 500 companies, 135 are actually public. That's a lot of companies. Imagine that. This gives us a nice amount of companies to take a look at. So now let's take a look by numbers. By numbers, out of those 500, 119% of them are growing at over 1,000% a year. That again is insane growth, and most of them are seeing growth rates of 175% in 3-year growth rate. That again is insane. Now let's take a look at the industries. What markets are we hitting? What markets are really booming right now? The first one again comes in at software and SaaS, and this comes in at 71%. Then we have biotech and pharmaceutical took a nice lead. Last time it was 11%, now it's 14%. Digital content, media, and entertainment actually took a dive. Last year was 11%. Now only 5% of these 500 companies are in the digital content media. And one sector that we're not seeing no more is the semiconductor. I don't know if they ended up adding the semiconductor into electronic devices and hardware, but we see the next one is medical devices at 4%, electronic devices and hardware at 3%. Communications networking at 2%, and energy tech at 1%. Again, we don't see many energy tech companies right now growing at dramatic levels. And I would have expected that to change, but not much can change in technology in a matter of a year. Now, if we take a look at the growth by the sector, we're seeing crazy levels. The highest growth sector right now, industry showing 3-year median percentage growth rate, is the electronics devices and hardware, growing at 683%. The second one is energy tech, growing at 525. Then we have the software and SaaS growing at 465. Biotech and pharmaceutical growing at 426. Communication networking growing at 378. Medical devices growing at 370. Digital content, media, and entertainment growing at 292%. So the first one that got my attention is obviously that number one. Why? Because of my background. I am an electrical engineer. I do a lot of robotics, a lot of coding. So electronics devices, energy tech, software and SaaS, communication networkings, and digital content, media, entertainment are ones I can really focus on. And look at the one in number one. Number one is electronic devices and hardware. So the first thing I did was take a look at the companies in there. Again, we saw only like 3% of the total companies were coming from the electronics world. But again, now that gives me a nice list to start learning and researching more about them. All right, so now here we are in the electronic devices and hardware list, and there are 16 companies right here that are growing at dramatic levels. The lowest growing at 209%, the fastest growing at 17,000%. Again, crazy growth, and we get to see the company names, we get to see the city. But hey, I did something even better. I ended up finding which one of them were public and which ones were private. Unfortunately, most of them are private, but I did find the ones that were public, and I'm going to share them with you guys today. And I do believe these are the companies I'm going to start looking into in the next few days. So if you guys want me to do that, make sure to let me know on the comments. So the first company we have here is going to be Kraken Robotics. This is a Canadian company and it is unfortunately traded over the counter. This is ticker KRKNF. Maybe most of you guys can find it in your broker. Again, just put Kraken Robotics and try to learn more about them. We're going to do more research on them later on, but right now this is sitting at 45 cents over the counter. Right now, year to date, it is down about 1%. Right now we can see it is definitely a penny stock, right? So I'm definitely not saying go buy this right now, but at least now I know it's publicly traded, so now I can go and find more information before I go and purchase more. Then we also have Blackline Safety Corporation, another Canadian company. Man, these Canadian companies are taking over right now. So this is ticker BLKLF, right now sitting at $5.80. Year to date, the stock price is down 18%, so great returns. Again, I still don't know much about the company. I'm going to go out and do more research on them. The third company and the final company that is public out of those 16, so only 3 out of those 16 were public, is One Stop System. This is ticker OSS. This is an American company, so yes, we can trade this in the NASDAQ. Right now, it is sitting at $2.95. We can see this is a market cap of $49 million. Very, very low market cap company. Year to date, it has done great returns, about 71.51%. Because it is an American company, a lot easier for me to do research, this is probably going to be the first company I'm going to take a look at. So again, this is the list, and I'm telling you guys, this is probably the only list you need for 2021. If you guys want me to do every public stock that's in here, let me know and I will definitely do it. All right, I'm gonna do this, guys. I'm gonna do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Make sure to hit the thumbs up. It helps so much with the YouTube algorithm, and I truly appreciate it. Take care, guys. Have a good night and see you next time.